Why smart people stay stuck. Being smart is not enough. In fact, it might be the thing holding you back. I've met people who can solve complex equations, who can debate philosophy for hours, who have degrees from the best schools, who can analyze anything, and they're stuck, broke, frustrated, watching people they consider less smart pass them by. Meanwhile, I've met people who barely finished high school, who can't spell, who wouldn't know logical fallacy if it hit them in the face. And they're winning, building businesses, making money, living life on their terms. So, what's going on here? Today, I'm going to break down exactly why intelligence isn't the advantage you think it is, and why it often backfires, and what actually matters if you want to stop being stuck and start getting results. This might challenge some beliefs you have about yourself. Good. That's the point. So let's get into it. So here's the first problem. Smart people are really good at one thing, thinking. And thinking feels like progress. Analyze the opportunity, you map out the scenarios, you consider the risks, you think about what could go wrong, you research more, you plan more, you prepare more. And you never actually do anything. Psychologist Barry Schwartz wrote about this paradox of choice. He said learning to choose is hard, learning to choose well is harder, and learning to choose well in a world of unlimited possibilities is harder still. Smart people see all the possibilities, all the options, all the ways it could go wrong. And that's paralyzing. The person who doesn't overthink, they just pick something and go. They don't see all the risks, so they're not afraid of them. Ignorance isn't just bliss. Sometimes it's a competitive advantage. So let me give you a real example. Two people want to start a business. Person A is smart. They research for 6 months, they read every book, they take courses, they analyze the market, they build spreadsheets, they create a business plan, they're getting ready. And person B is average. They have an idea on Monday, they build a landing page on Tuesday, they run ads on Wednesday, they get feedback on Thursday, and they iterate on Friday. 6 months later, person A is still researching, and person B has a business. Maybe it's not the first idea. Maybe they failed 3 times. But they learned more in 6 months of doing than person A learned in 6 months of thinking. This is the trap. Thinking feels productive. It's not. Action is productive. Thinking is just preparation for action. And preparation without action is just procrastination in a clever disguise. And here's the second problem. Smart people have an identity. They're the smart one. They've been praised for being smart their whole lives. Good grades, right answers, teachers love them, parents bragged about them. And now that identity is a prison. Because if you're the smart one, you can't fail. You can't look stupid. You can't not know the answer. So what do? You only play games you know you can win. You only take risks where failure is invisible. You stay in your comfort zone because losing would threaten the one thing you've always had, your intelligence. Shane Parrish talks about this in Clear Thinking. He writes, the bigger barrier to learning is the assumption that you already know. The ego protects itself by avoiding situations where it might be proven wrong. Great quote. Smart people have big egos about being smart, so they avoid situations that might challenge that. The person who doesn't have that identity, they've got nothing to protect. They can fail publicly, they can look stupid, they can ask dumb questions, they can start from zero, because their identity isn't tied to being the smartest person in the room. That's freedom. Third problem, smart people tend to be perfectionists. They want to get it right. They want it to be polished. They want it to be impressive. So they wait. They tinker. They refine. They perfect. And they never ship. The book is never finished. The business is never launched. The video is never posted. The email is never sent. Because it's not perfect yet. Here's what perfectionism really is. It's fear. Fear of judgment. Fear of criticism. Fear of being seen less than perfect. It's not high standards. It's hiding. The person who ships something imperfect, they get feedback. They learn. They improve. They ship again. While the perfectionist is still polishing the first draft, done beats perfect every time. Fourth problem. Smart people love complexity. If the answer is simple, it can't be right. It must be more complicated than that. So they overcomplicate everything. The business model has 17 revenue streams. The marketing strategy has 42 steps. The plan has contingencies for contingencies. Meanwhile, the simple person, they find the one thing that works and they do it over and over again. And they make money. Naval Ravikant talks about this a lot. He said, if you can't explain it to a child, you don't understand it well enough. Complexity is often a sign of unclear thinking, not deep thinking. The smartest people I know, and the people who are stuck, they take something simple and make it complex. They're addicted to the intellectual stimulation of complexity, even when simplicity would get better results, and it usually does. Fifth problem. Smart people would rather be right than rich. Think about that. They'd rather win the argument than win the outcome. They'd rather prove their point than get the results. They'd rather be intellectually correct than practically successful. I've watched smart people argue themselves out of opportunities because they could see flaws, because it wasn't logically perfect, because someone else was wrong, and they stayed stuck. While the wrong person made money, the world doesn't reward being right. The world rewards being effective. You can be right and broke. You can be right and stuck. You can be right and miserable. Or you can let go of being right and start being effective. The sixth problem. Smart people love information. They read books, they take courses, they listen to podcasts, they watch videos. And they confuse consumption with progress. I'm learning, I'm preparing, I'm getting ready. No, you're hiding. Information is only useful when it's applied. A book you read but don't implement is just entertainment. A course you take but don't apply is just a hobby. The person who reads one book and takes action, they beat the person who reads 100 books and does nothing. Every time. Knowledge isn't power. Applied knowledge is power. Most smart people have enough information to change their lives 10 times over. They just don't do anything with it. Seventh problem. Smart people want to know it's going to work before they start. They want certainty. They want guarantees. They want proof. But that's not how anything works. You can't know it's going to work until you try. You can't have certainty until you've done it. You can't have proof until you've created it. The person who needs certainty before action, they never act. Because certainty doesn't come first. Certainty comes after. After you try, after you fail, after you learn, after you try again. Then you get certainty. Smart people have this backwards. They want to feel certain, then act. Winners act, then become certain. So if intelligence isn't the answer, what is? Let me give you what actually moves the needle. Bias towards action. When in doubt, do something, anything. Movement creates clarity. Thinking doesn't. Speed of implementation. How fast can you go from idea to action? The faster, the better. Don't think for 6 months. Test in 6 days. Tolerance for failure. Can you fail publicly and keep going? Can you look stupid and survive? Can you be wrong and not crumble? This is the real skill. And simplicity. Can you find the simple path? Can you resist the urge to overcomplicate? Can you do the one thing instead of 10 things done poorly? Execution over ideas. Ideas are worth nothing. Execution's worth everything. A mediocre idea with great execution beats a great idea with no execution. Every single time. And learning by doing. Stop preparing, start doing. You'll learn more in 1 month of action than 1 year of study. So the identity shift. If you're a smart person who's stuck, here's what needs to happen. You need to stop identifying as the smart one. Start identifying as the one who gets things done. Being smart got you good grades. It won't get you a good life. Being effective gets you a good life. And effectiveness is a skill. It's not about IQ, it's about action. You can be smart and effective, but you have to choose effectiveness over intelligence when they conflict, which means sometimes you do the stupid thing, the thing that doesn't make perfect logical sense, the thing that might not work, the thing that might make you look dumb, because that's where results live. Not in the safe zone, not in the analysis, not in the perfect plan, in the messy, imperfect, scary action. So here's your permission. You're allowed to be imperfect. You're allowed to fail. You're allowed to not know everything. You're allowed to look stupid. You're allowed to be wrong. You're allowed to be a beginner. Even if you've been the smart one your whole life, your intelligence is not a cage unless you let it be. You can be smart and take action. You can be smart and fail forward. You can be smart and ship imperfect work. You can be smart and keep it simple. You just have to decide the results matter more than reputation, that progress matters more than perfection, that effectiveness matters more than intelligence. So, bottom line, let me wrap this up. Intelligence is a tool, like a hammer. A hammer sitting in a toolbox doesn't build anything. A hammer in motion builds houses. Your intelligence sitting in your head doesn't build anything. Your intelligence in motion builds a life. The smart people who win, they use their intelligence to act faster, to learn from failure quicker, to simplify complex problems, to execute better. And the smart people who stay stuck, they use their intelligence to analyze forever. They avoid failure, to overcomplicate simple things, to think instead of do. Same tool, different results. The question isn't whether you're smart enough. You probably are. The question is whether you're brave enough. Brave enough to act without certainty. Brave enough to fail publicly. Brave enough to look stupid. Brave enough to keep it simple. Brave enough to ship before it's ready. That's what separates the stuck from the successful. Malintelligence, courage. So here's my challenge to you. What's the one thing you've been overthinking? The one thing you've been analyzing instead of doing? The one thing you've been perfecting instead of shipping? Do it this week. Imperfectly. Badly even. Just do it. Because a bad first step beats a perfect plan you never execute. Every time. Stop being smart. Start being effective. That's the shift. That's the unlock. That's how smart people finally get unstuck. Now go do something. If this hit home, subscribe. More videos like this coming soon. I see you on the next one. Thank you very much.